Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this stylized potion in Blender and Substance Painter. Okay, let's start working with this potion. I'm going to delete this cube and add a cube. Then I'm going to subdivide this two times and convert to mesh with Alt-C. Okay, now I'm going to enter in edit mode and go to mesh transform to sphere. There we go. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to add subdivisions here and apply shade smooth. Okay, perfect. Now I think I'm going to select the top faces, and using loop tools I'm going to select circle. There we go. I'm going to play a little bit with the position of this and insert. Here I'm going to extract a part and extrude it to make the top part of the bottle. Okay, there we go. I'm going to add some bevels here. Not too sharp, since I want to make this glass bottle with smooth edges. Then I think I'm going to move this too to make a smooth transition here. Maybe like that is just fine. Okay, great. You may notice some corners there, some small corners in the geometry. Maybe they are not too visible, but you may notice some of them with the light, like there. As you can see, yeah, I don't know if you see them because okay, no problem. I usually prefer to work with a cube and then subdivide it and convert it to sphere, as I made with this model. But of course you can start using a UV sphere too. You can decrease the segments here and the rings too. And of course you can do the same with a perfect sphere. You want to have those problems in the corners, but you will have those problems here on top and the bottom. So of course you can remove them and do the bottle like this, similar as we made recently. Then you can remove this and close it with some grid fill. Yeah, something like that. You can find a balance there to avoid those problems. But yeah, I usually prefer to work with these kind of objects because I later do only one cut in the middle for UV seams, and that works pretty good for me. So let's continue. This object will have transparency, so I'm going to be modeling also the interior of this object. So I'm going to extrude it down here. Maybe going to disable subdivision modifier. Oops. Yeah, like this. I'm going to remove those interior faces. So now I'm going to duplicate those faces of the bottle here. I'm going to press Shift D, duplicate, and change the scale here. Okay, with this you can define the thickness of your bottle. For example, like a very thin bottle, or you can make it thicker like this. I think I'll be using something like this. Okay, then I'm going to connect those interior edges using bridge edge loops, as you can see there. Perfect. I'm going to remove those seams, and we have it there. I'm going to apply scales and rotations, and as you can see, the interior is not correctly flipped, so we need to flip those faces. Go to edit mode, select everything, and press Ctrl N, and all of the faces are correctly flipped. Okay, enable again the subdivision. Okay, now I'm going to add another bevel here inside, maybe like that. Okay, good. I'm not very sure if I want to remove those faces and add something sharp in there. Maybe that can work. Yeah, I think I'll do it. Okay, good. We need to model a cork here, and to make this cork, I'm going to use this interior circular edge. So I'm going to duplicate it with Shift D and separate it with P. Okay, so now I have it, and you can extrude it on top like this and move it inside like this. Okay, that's good. I'm going to shade smooth here, and now you can play with the shape of this cork, for example, to make it look like this. Okay, but I'm going to first insert this with ES, extrude an S, and then grid fill. Okay, good. I'm going to add here a bevel to make it look a little bit sharper. Then select those faces, and you can press simply R to rotate or use the shear tool. This will make a proportional rotation instead if you do this, as you can see. Okay, good. Okay, and now as we are working with a transparent bottle, we need to model the bottom part of the cork too. So we repeat the process like that. If you enable X-ray view, you can see where it's located. Maybe it should be there. Okay, there we go. That looks good. I'm going to apply scales and rotation and flip this. Okay, perfect. I'm going to add here a little rope there, just to add a little tag or label. I maybe do something like this with a heart, something like that, just to represent the potion is a healing potion or something like that. Okay, so for this I'm going to select those edges and press Shift D, click and P to separate the selection. I'm going to select them where they are. They are here. Okay, I'm going to isolate them, remove the subdivision surface modifier, and I'm going to select one of the edges, vertices, and press UV so we separate them. I'm going to move it a little bit and convert it to curve, or go to Object, Convert to Curve. There we go. Now enable everything, and here in this option, in the right panel, go to Geometry, Resolution, reduce. You can reduce this to 1 and increase the depth, maybe to something like that. Okay, then add subdivisions with Ctrl 1, 2, or 3. There we go. We have a little rope in there, and I'm going to move it. Okay, first I'm going to change the pivot point of this object, because as you can see, it is in the world center. So I'm going to go to Edit mode, select all the curve points, and press Shift S, cursor to select, or go to Curve, Snap, and cursor to selected. Okay, now select the object and press Shift Ctrl Alt C and set origin to 3D cursor, or go to Object, set origin to 3D cursor. Remember, you have all of those shortcuts here, mainly in Object and Select, and in Edit mode you have them in these panels, so you won't have any issues to find those. Okay, So select the origin to 3D cursor, and now we can scale it. Okay. I'm going to move it down a little bit. There we go. Okay, good. Okay, I'm going to add some... I think I'm going to duplicate this. Maybe something like that. Yeah, maybe. And I think I'm going to remove a few of those and make something like this. I just simply press F to join them. As you can see, you select those 2 points and press F. Okay, maybe I'm not going to connect the interior one. So I'm going to leave it like this. Then I'm going to move it manually, something like that. Okay. Okay, wait. Yeah. Maybe like this. Looks pretty good. I want to avoid those points of the curve to come inside the bottle like this, because as this is a transparent shape, you have those overlapping inside the bottle. The player will see it inside the bottle as it is transparent. Okay, you can also try to avoid them to be too close inside. Okay, great. You can select those faces and press H to hide them. And as you can see now, everything looks much better. Even there you can move a little bit. There we go. Okay, this looks good for me. Yeah, I think I'm going to close them, but I'm going to extrude this a little bit. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a good idea. Maybe a little bit. If you pressed Alt S, you can increase the size of this point in the curve, like that. But maybe not too much, just like this. Okay. Now I'm going to move this. Yeah, like this. I'm going to add the label or the tag here, and it should be something. We can just simply use a cube for this. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to add here on top a little hole. Yeah, okay. There we go. Select those faces and insert. And using loop tools, I'm going to convert them to circle. Select individual origins and then scale. Okay, I want it to be, maybe here's good, and delete them. Okay, now I'm going to play with the thickness of this. Yeah, okay, this is good. I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to select those edges and bridge edge loops. Okay, then select them and add a little bevel. Okay, now if you subdivide, you will have something like this. We need to add some support loops in here and in here too. And yeah, maybe some of them here too. Okay, good. Okay, fine. We can add a small cut in there. Maybe something like that. Okay. We can select them and use Shift E and add a crease. Yeah, that's worked good. I'm going to add another one here, but maybe this can be something like this, like a small broken chunk there. Okay, I'm going to fill them, and then I'm going to, okay, select those and join them. Okay, wait, there's a little problem. Okay, select these, them, and them. Okay. Then I'm going to add another edge loop and connect them with join. Remember, this is a tool. This is not called join anymore. You go to Vertex and is this one. Connect Vertex path. I'm going to deform this a little bit just to avoid to look. That's good. I like it. Okay, we can even play with the main shape of this using the sculpt mode. You can move something like this and make it look quite more natural and stylized. It hasn't to be perfect. There we go. I like it. So I'm going to put it in here. Maybe. For this, I'm going to add a circle with 12 vertices. Okay, scale it down. And I'm going to convert this to curve and increase here the depth. Decrease the resolution to 1 and increase the depth. Maybe just to make a ring. Yeah. A little bit thinner, something like that. And convert to mesh. Now apply subdivisions. And you need to position it to something like this. Okay. Perfect. I think I'm going to move this quite like this inside. Okay. We have this ring. There we go. I like it. Okay, good. And I'm going to position this tag in here. Maybe something like that. That looks good. Okay, to deform this, we need to make the edge loops a little bit more proportional each other. I'm going to select them, and as we already rotate this, we need to select one of the edges and click here, this plus icon. Then you will be able to modify the transformation like this, as you can see. Okay. Okay, I'm wondering if I can add some deformation. Yeah, we can use the bend tool and make it look like this. Yeah, that looks good for me. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, great. I like it. I think I'm going to select the bottle and the cork and transform it. I'm going to scale it in the Z-axis a little bit, maybe something like that. Apply scale and rotation, and then move this. Okay, good. Okay, great. I'm going to select everything and apply scale. Now I'm going to model the inside of this bottle, the content, the liquid. So for this, I'm going to add here a seam, maybe here. Add a seam, mark seam with edge, mark seam. Okay, and then I'm going to select this face and press H, so I can hide this and work only with the inside. Okay, now I'm going to copy this part of the bottle and press Shift D to duplicate and S to scale. There we go. Now you can define where the liquid will be located inside. It needs to be really close to the outside. So maybe position it like this and press P to separate by selection. Okay, now we have the bottle and the liquid inside. As you can see, this is the liquid. I'm going to isolate this and I'm going to maybe remove this top part and select those edges. Press C to scale and 0. Okay. This will be the liquid maybe. Okay, I'm going to extrude it like this. And maybe another one. And now grid fill. Yeah, that's good. That's the liquid. Now you need to decide if this liquid will be static or will be animated. For example, if you're using this bottle in a game where the player can grab this bottle and move it, of course the liquid should be moving inside. So if you want to achieve that, you need to make this liquid inside an engine with some liquid or something like that. But that's another approach we are not going to be making in this video. So I'm going to leave this liquid static, but I'm going to make it look a little bit different. Just maybe moving it. Yeah, let me play with this. Okay, that's good. It's a simple deformation, but you can keep it to make it look like more real liquid inside, but it's not necessary. Okay, cool. You can even add some bubbles in there. You can add a sphere, or maybe you can use a cube again, like this. Position it like a bubble. Yeah, it should look like a bubble. Okay, subdivide and shade smooth. Yeah, I'm going to first apply 2 levels of subdivisions and apply this modifier, so I can remove the bottom part of this sphere. Okay, you can press now Shift Alt S to make it look more like a bubble, like this. Now I apply against the subdivisions and move it down. Okay, good. You can duplicate this and add more of them. Okay, cool. And that's good. We have the bottle. Well, I'm going to sculpt a little bit the cork. So I'm going to add more details using the sculpt mode. But meanwhile, I'm going to add 4 level of subdivisions to each object. Even the inside like that. Okay. So we ensure to have a decent shading for baking. Maybe I cannot. Okay, maybe I can make it look like this. Just a little bit. Okay, cool. That's cool. I like it. So now I'm going to select all of these objects and apply scale. Make sure everything is blue. Remember, go to these viewport overlays and face orientations. You can check that everything is blue. Of course, these parts of this rope is not correctly oriented, so we need to flip those normals. But to do that, we need to close first the rope. Okay, so for this, I'm going to remove the subdivision modifier. And I'm going to add this, convert this to mesh first. Go to object, convert mesh. And we need to close them, selecting those and pressing F. Now we can add an insert in here with I. And connect the vertices. Okay, I'm going to add a bevel in there. And now apply again subdivisions. And we have those closed. Okay, great. Make sure everything here is now a real mesh and not any curves. So now select all of them and move them to a high folder. You can create a new folder and call it hide. You can create a new folder and call it high. And that's all. Okay, select everything. And you need to rename them as you want, but make sure you have organized names. So I'm going to be using the add-on I usually use, which is called Simple Rename. And I'm going to change the name of this to Stylized _ potion. Replace names. And here add _high suffix. Perfect. Now I'm going to duplicate this with Shift D and click. Make sure you don't move anything. And now pressing M, move to collection and move it to model low, or simply drag it. Okay, great. Hide this folder. Now select all of them again. Go to Simple Rename or change the suffixes manually. You need to type here hide.001 and replace for low. Search and replace. There we go. Now you have a high poly and a low poly version. Everything with the same name, just different suffixes. That will help to Substance Painter to make it good correctly later. Okay, let's work with the UV unwrapping. This will be quick and easy since there is not much detail to work with. Select the bottle, isolate this, and we need to define which subdivision level we have. We need to have, okay, maybe this is too low poly. If you are aiming for a mobile game, that will be good. But I'm going to be using one level of subdivision, just like this. As you can see, we have 2.5K of triangles. So I'm going to apply this subdivision modifier, and I'm going to remove the seams and everything in there. And okay, we need to start optimizing this object. But of course, this part will be exactly the same since that's the details we want to have in the low poly. And okay, we need to select some of those loops and remove them. Make sure you don't modify at all the silhouette of the object. For example, if you do this, as you can see, we have a very rounded surface here. If you remove them, you change drastically the silhouette of the object. So you should have some baking problems later in Substance Painter. So try to keep it like that. Okay. Only remove unnecessary edges, those who are not going to be affecting the silhouette. There we go. Maybe here inside. Nah, that's good. Okay. Okay, perfect. I'm going to add a seam there and another one inside there. Perfect. Another seam in here and another one here. Let me check. This is the front part of the bottle. So I'm going to be adding the seam for this inside here. Okay, good. So this part will be unwrapped correctly like this, as you can see. To strike them up, you can use any add-on to do this, or maybe UV squares. You can do this manually, but this will take you some extra time. You need to select one of those faces and align them first. For example, this one, pressing SY and 0, SY and 0, SX and 0, SX and 0, and you have this square. Now select everything and press U and follow active quads, as you can see. But this will take you quite a lot of extra time, so better if you use an add-on for this. As you can see, this will convert this UV island to a square or rectangle easily. There we go. So now select the inside of the bottle. If we unwrap this as it is, we will have this, which is quite not great. You can use it, of course, but this will lose quality when it's reaching the top. So for this, I'm going to make a cut in the middle. The middle of the bottle is this. So I'm going to add some seams in here. There we go. Now you can grab them. As you can see, now we have two parts, and that's correct. I'm going to do the same for the outside part. Okay. Select this face and create a seam there. Okay, good. In the real world, bottles are usually made like these two. If you grab a glass bottle, you will sometimes see a cut in the middle. That's quite similar, like joining two parts. Okay, good. We need to now create the seam for this part. As this is the front part, we need to go to the back part and add a seam there. Okay, now if you unwrap this, you should have this shape, and we need to straighten up. Okay, cool. The bottle is unwrapped. I'm going to go to shading panel and create a new material. I'm going to call it, Stylized Potion _matte. And I'm going to add here a quick image texture. I'm going to be using a checker map. You can download some of them from Google just to check the material is applying everything correctly. We need to unwrap this part too. Okay. Okay, let me check. That's correct. Yeah, I like it. Okay. Now unhide the rest. I'm going to first select everything and select at last the bottle. Press Ctrl L and link materials. Okay, let's continue with this shape. I'm maybe going to be using subdivision 2 levels because maybe one is not enough for these parts, as you can see. if we use subdivision 1 level, we are going to lose some of those edges. So I should be using level 2 subdivision. Okay, and apply this. As you can see, this is very dense, so we need to optimize this a little bit. So for this, I'm going to remove some unnecessary edges first. There we go. Okay, the same here. Okay, great. We can even remove some of those. Yeah, that's cool. It works. That's the important thing. And we changed drastically the amount of triangles from 6 almost 7k to 2.7k. Okay, cool. Now we need to select the bottom part or the less visible part, and we need to drag a line here, pressing Ctrl Shift and click. There we go. Okay. Okay, that's great. That works good. But maybe if we try to have this side works better. Okay, good. Now select everything and press U unwrap. But as you can see, this is quite bigger. This can work, but you usually needs to create a cut in the middle so you can have better texture space usage. For example, like this. But this time I want to keep it in one single line, just like this. Okay. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to keep it. Okay, hide this. And I'm going to continue with the cork. I'm going to be using 1 level of subdivision. Yeah, that's correct. Remove those edges. This one too. I'm going to increase this one. Add the seam in here. I need to remove the bottom one. Okay, I'm going to remove those two. Okay. Great. This is the back part of the cork, so I'm going to add a seam in there and unwrap this. Okay, good. Hide this. I'm going to work with the ring. I'll be using 1 level of subdivision. Add a seam in there and another one in there. So we should have only one UV island. There we go. Now I'm going to work with those small bubbles. They are going to be easy. We need to simply remove the subdivision and then select the one bubble we removed the subdivision and press Ctrl L and copy modifiers. Okay, convert to mesh and now unwrap. There we go. Yeah, I want to be using angle based. Okay, good. Disable them. Now let me work with the liquid. I'm going to be using 1 level of subdivision for this. And add a seam in here. I'm going to remove this edge. Maybe this one too. Let me check how it works with sharp edges. Yeah, that's we're fine. And that's it. That's good. I'm going to unwrap this. This is correct. I'm going to hide this. And now we need to work with the label or the tag. I'm going to remove some subdivisions. Maybe just level 1. And we need to apply the simple deform. Yeah, we need to apply the simple deform. And now you need to optimize this tag. I'm going to remove the inside edges like this. Dissolve. The same for this. We can even remove that one. Create a seam in there. Okay. We need to optimize this as much as we can. Okay. There we go. Okay, maybe we can here work with this and select those. Drag it to the left. Yeah, to the right, sorry. And join them. We need to remove those. And we can get rid of those edges. But first for this, we need to do the same with this back part. Okay, remove those. And now we can get rid of those edges. Very good. We can do the same for this. Okay, we can remove this. It works good. Remove some of the necessary edges. Of course, you can optimize this a little bit more, but this is not the case of my tutorial. So now unwrap it. Okay, we need to extract the map, some of the islands. Okay, this part is maybe the interior of this hole. We need to add a cut on top. Select it and unwrap. There we go. Okay, cool. Now hide this. Okay, we just unwrap everything. Now we need to first do something. As you can see, there's now good shading on these objects. So we need to add sharp edges, just like this, as you can see, in order to have good shading. So to do this faster, you need to add exactly one sharp edge exactly in the same position where you added a seam. So select any seam, for example that one. Now press Shift G, select similar, or go to select similar, and now select seam. Now as you can see, you select all of the seams in your object. So having them selected, now we need to press W and mark sharp, or go to edge, mark sharp. As you can see, we added a sharp edge to each seam. Okay, now we need to select any object and go to add modifier, normals, and weighted normals. And here, select keep sharp. Now select everything, select as last the mesh with this modifier, and press Ctrl L and link transfer data, copy modifiers. Okay, now all of those objects will have exactly the same modifier. Okay, cool. Now you need to define is if you will create everything in one single material, because you need to make sure, you need to consider that we are going to be using transparency. So I usually, when I make a model with transparency for a client, I create the glass or any transparent part in a different material, specifically for transparencies, because usually the depths inside the engine will have some problems rendering these glass parts. If you create everything in one material, of course that will be more optimized for, but sometimes I have that problem with my clients, so I prefer to create one material only for glass or transparency parts. So I'm going to copy this name and remove this material, add a new one, paste this one, and I'm going to type here glass. Perfect. Now we have only one material for the glass, and the rest is using this potion material. Okay, good. Now select the glass and go to edit mode, UV editing, and you need to organize those faces in order to use the UV space correctly. You can press Ctrl P and pack islands like this, but I prefer to use the UV Pack Master add-on since it is very useful. I'm going to add a margin of 5 here. I'm going to enable normalize and heuristic search, and then I'm going to pack. Okay, now I'm going to increase the textile density of this top part like this. Same for those rectangles. Okay, there we go. Those are the bottle sides. I think I'm going to decrease some priority to the interior part since this is not visible at all. So we can get rid of some quality or texture density. Scaling it down, and oops. I'm going to increase the size of the texture of the UV island for the outside parts since they are more important. Now select everything, and using the UV Pack Master add-on or tweaking with this one, you can disable scale. This is for the Blender packer. For UV Pack Master, we need to disable normalize scale. So now this add-on will pack everything again, but will keep those islands with the size I decided to have. Okay, cool. This is good. This should look fine now. I'm going to add a checker texture. There we go. That looks very good and even for me. As you can see, the inside squares are bigger since they will have less resolution than outside part of the bottle, but that's not very important. They are practically very similar, so that's okay. Okay, cool. I'm going to disable this in the viewport, and now I'm going to do exactly the same for these other objects. Now, as you can see, the packer will give a lot of priority to this part, this one, because this is the biggest, the bigger surface of all of these objects. So we need to remove some priority to those faces, like this, decreasing the size, and increase the priority of the rest of the objects, increasing the size of those, as you can see. Same for the robe, maybe just the sides, because this one is practically the maximum possible in the y-axis. You cannot pass the label or tag. Maybe more important, the front part, since we are going to be adding some decals in there. And maybe like this. And same for the cork. Okay, the sides and the top part. Maybe the bottom part can stay like that. And that's cool. Now select everything again, go to edit mode, and here disable normalize scale, or again, remember, Control P, packer, and disable scale. Okay, cool. Cool, as you can see, we have everything correctly UV unwrapped. Okay, I like it. I'm going to try to bake everything as it is, but if I have some shadow problems for the interior part, as we have the liquid, I'm going to try to bake this with a distance like that, for example, just to avoid the shadows of this liquid being baked over the glass. But first I'm going to try to bake it like this. Okay, cool. Now hide the low and hide the underscore high, and I'm going to paint some vertex paint for this. This will act as a mask for Substance Painter. So I'm going to paint this with those colors from my ID map. This palette is in the video description, so you can use it. To paint them, you need to select one of them with Alt Q. Then go into paint and set vertex colors. I just have a shortcut for this. You need to paint them with different colors. Okay. Same for the inside. The bubbles should be all the same, maybe. Okay, I'm going to paint only bigger ones, and those small bubbles will be with this color. Okay, cool. That's it. We paint everything with colors. So now you need to sculpt in this object. But first, I'm going to export everything in the high poly folder. So select everything, convert to mesh. So we applied all the subdivisions, as you can see. Now this is a real mesh. Yeah, convert to mesh. Now apply scale 100 rotations, select everything and go to export, FBX, and here copy these settings. This is just simple, limit to selected objects and mesh and apply transformation. That's all. And type here underscore high. Okay, now Control C until you have the modifiers again. As you can see, we can edit this. That exported high poly will act as our ID map object. So I'm going to be sculpting this bottle now. But first I'm going to save a copy. I'm going to call it underscore backup. Okay, cool. Okay, now I'm going to start sculpting this potion. I'm going to keep this simple, but first we need to apply it correctly. The density of each part. For example, for this cork, I'm going to convert to mesh, and here I'm going to. I think I'll do the same for everything. I'm going to select 5 level of subdivisions and apply the subdivision. There we go. The same for these. The same for these. The same for these. I'm not going to sculpt the bubbles since they are just simple meshes. I'm going to start with this cork, so I'm going to go to object mode, sculpt mode, and here in the voxel size I'm going to decrease this number. You can press Shift R, and I'm going to be using maybe 0.1 or something close. Then press Ctrl R to apply the remesh, or simply click here remesh. Now as you can see, we have a very dense geometry that we can sculpt. So okay, I'm going to use this mesh filter and smooth. I'm going to drag to the right to smooth the area a little bit. There we go. Okay, now using simple brushes, for example, as the clay, you can add some holes. Okay, maybe here on top I'm going to be using the grease sharp brush. Here enable the precision. And we can add a simple line design in here. Yeah, I like that one. Not too rounded and perfect. Yeah, perfect. I'm going to isolate this core because I want to sculpt also the covered part. Since remember, even if this is not visible right now, this will be visible with the glass later. Okay, cool. I like it. We can add some simple cracks on it. Nothing too detailed. Okay, that's cool. I like this. This is very simple, but it works. Okay. Now I'm going to proceed to sculpt this little ring. Go to sculpt mode and again the same process. I'm going to be using a scrape fill brush for this. Just to add some simple hammered parts. Just to make it look like this little ring piece was handmade with a hammer or something. Okay, cool. Now for this tag, I'm going to maybe just sculpt the corners. I'm going to add some extra remeshing levels for this. Okay, cool. For the bottle, I'm just simply going to add a scrape fill, some dents here in the border. Nothing too complicated. Just to make the glass polished. Okay, for the big bottle, I'm not sure if we can do this, but if you want, you can try to add some small dents just to give it some variation to the bottle. But try to avoid it to look too heavy like this, for example. Of course, you can do a bottle like this, but this is not the case. Okay, the sculpture of this bottle is finished, so I'm going to turn back to object mode, and this is ready to be exported. Okay, great, let's continue. The bottle is ready to be exported. I'm going to select everything and convert to mesh. Let me check if we kept the Vertex colors. I think it looks good. So the other model we import, maybe we are not going to be using it, the first one. So great. Go to File, Export, FBX, and the same settings. I'm going to call it Cult. Okay. I'm going to go back to this part. Okay, great. Export this one too. Export FBX, and I'm going to call it low. Okay, let's go to Substance Painter. go to File, New, select. Here, select the low version. Okay. As you can see, we import the bottle. Okay, great. Go to this croissant baking. And here, select the sculpt one. I'm going to be using 2K first, just to test. And here in match, select by mesh name. Remove this ignore backface suffix. Here in ID, vertex color, curvature, only same mesh name. Okay. The rest is fine. I'm going to be baking first the potion. Now I'm going to bake everything first. I'm going to decrease the max frontal distance a little bit, just like that. Let me check if inside the bottle we don't have red parts. Okay, cool. Great. And bake selected textures. Okay, if we return to painting mode, we can see the bottle was correctly baked. It is good. It is fine. But the interior of this may not be looking good. If we disable the potion, we can see the interior. We have some baking issues in there. As you can see, everything is black, very darker. We can have this, but this will not be ideal. As you can see, also the cork is you can see a shadow in there. So, as I told you, we need to fix this first. So, go back to Blender, and I'm going to separate the bottle to the right. A very decent distance. For example, type GX200, maybe GX400. Now export this. File, export, and this will be the low. Okay, go back. Now export the high again. Press GX400 and export it like this. Sculpt. There we go. Go back. And now we need to export the bottle as it is. I'm going to export it again, but this will be the low. I'm going to simply call it potion. Okay, go back to Substance Painter, replace the main object here in Edit, Project Configuration, and select the low. This one, and go back to the baking panel, select the sculpt again, and this should be correctly baked, so I'm not going to change any other settings. Just make sure everything is blue and not red parts. Okay, great. Now I'm going to be using 8K for baking and bake. I'm having here some problems, so I'm going to cancel the bake and increase the max frontal distance quite a little bit. We're still having some issues in there. Okay, they're gone. Okay, go back to painting mode, and as you can see now, we don't have the lining here in the cork, and we don't have the shadow here in the liquid. Let me check the inside of the bottle. As you can see, this is perfectly baked. All right, that's good. Now we need to save this project. I'm going to save it here as a stylized potion text. Always save your projects. There we go. Now go to Edit, Project Configuration, and now select Potion. And this will be the potion where we are going to be working in. So I'm going to remove these textures. And perfect. Let's start with this. I'm going to first go to the bottle, Here in texture set settings, I'm going to enable opacity. And here I'm going to change the shader settings to PBR metal rough with alpha blending. There we go. Now here in the layers, I'm going to add a fill layer, and I'm going to call it glass OP for glass opacity. Now select here only the opacity, and I'm going to decrease the value of this. Okay. Maybe just something like that. Now increase the roughness, the metal, to make it look like glass. Okay, the rendering may vary from each engine. We have this problem here with the liquid. As you can see, this is overlapping the liquid, the glass. So I'm going to decrease the size of this liquid a little bit just to avoid that thing. It is in the front here. So I'm going to select the liquid a little bit and scale it in this y-axis. Something like that. Okay, and export this again. Potion. Now to simply re-import your models into Substance Painter, you need to press Ctrl-Shift-R, and we need to decrease the size a little bit more. So there we go. I think this is enough. File export, Potion, and re-import this again. Perfect. Now, as you can see, the glass is not overlapping the liquid anymore. So great. As I said, each engine will render the glass as they can. Some of the engines may render this better than Substance Painter, but remember, this is just for texturing, where this is not aiming for a good rendering engine. We can use these array to check the glass, but as you can see, this is not looking very good. So first focus in making it transparent. Okay, good. I think I'm going to increase or decrease the opacity a bit more. Increase the metal. And I'm going to paint the bottle a little bit blue, or quite darker blue. Yeah, maybe something like this. This can work. Meanwhile, as you can see, the cork is overlapping also the glass, so we need to fix that too. All right. Sometimes working with opacity may be quite challenging depending on the project you're making. Okay, great. I'm going to use my Substance Painter Stylized paste. You can download this in the video description. I explained how to make it from scratch in the rock video, so you can check it. This is not a very complicated material, but this is good. It works. So I'm going to be using it. For the cork, I'm going to select here color selection and pick the cork color. This will be the cork. And I'm going to be using, I have some references, so I'm going to pick one color. Okay. Okay, this one meanwhile. This will be the cork. I'm going to duplicate this and now select the tag. I'm going to be using another similar color, but quite lighter. Yeah, like this maybe. Okay, now for the ring, this will be the tag. Now the ring. Pick color and select this one. I'm going to enable rough and metal. And I'm going to be using some gray color for the metal. Okay, great. I'm going to decrease some of the curvature, those edges later. But first one, I want to add some base coloring. Okay, now this rope, maybe going to be using something like this, maybe. Yeah, like this. This will be the base of the rope. This will be rope base. Now duplicate these, and now I'm going to be selecting the liquid. Go inside and pick this color. This will be the liquid. Okay. You can, of course, select any color if you want to make a healing potion, maybe mana potion, or anything else. Okay. I'll be using red. Of course, for healing, usually you can use a red or you can use a green. This time I want to use a red. Maybe a little bit orange, just like that. Even this can work. Like something in this color can work very good. Okay. Now select the bubbles. You can disable the glass. I'm going to select the bigger bubbles like these, maybe. I'm going to create another color called bubbles. I can maybe change this color to something white. Yeah, I'm not very sure. The liquid can have some roughness, maybe. Maybe something like this. Same for the bubbles. And I'm not sure if the other bubbles can have the same color. Maybe I'm going to be using another color for those. Yeah, something like that can work. Okay, cool. Enable the bottle again. And we maybe need to decrease the color or increase the opacity of this bottle. I don't think I like these bubbles. Maybe just they should look. Okay, ambient occlusion here is causing some weird problems. As you can see, this is too much. We need to decrease some ambient occlusion. Or maybe we can add ambient occlusion for the liquid with a similar color. Yeah, I think I'm going to be using something purple. Or like this. Yeah, I like this one. This will be ambient occlusion just for this part. Okay. Now I'm going to copy those layers and add a black mask and paste them here. Now I'm going to hide the bottle and select the liquid and the bubbles. Yeah. Okay. Like that. So now we don't have ambient occlusion affecting, as you can see, the rest with those pink colors. Okay. So now we need to copy this ambient occlusion and now remove the mask. Okay. And change these to another normal color. Like this, maybe. Something that we can use to add shadows. decently. Okay, that's good. So now we need to add here a black mask and paste the same layers and select everything but the liquid. Okay, great. We don't have ambient occlusion right now in the bottle, so I'm going to move it outside the main folder and right click. I'm going to call it global out, and here instantiate across texture sets and select the glass. Now, as you can see, we have some small ambient occlusion here in the bottle. Maybe we can notice this. Maybe we cannot. Okay, let me check what's happening in here. Yeah, it looks like it's not being affected by this. So I'm going to copy this global ambient occlusion and go to the glass, remove this, and paste this ambient occlusion. Oh, I know what's happening in here. Okay, go back to the cork, and it is because I didn't select the bottle. So select the bottle. Now this should affect this. Yeah, now as you can see, it is affecting the bottle. So let me check. Yeah, definitely now it is affecting the bottle. Okay. Okay, great. I'm going to remove some of these sharp edges because I think they are too much. For example, we can see some lines here that's caused by the mid edges. So I'm going to change this curvature a little bit just to get rid of them. Like that. Let me check the edges one. Okay, and sharp edges. I think I'm going to decrease the opacity a little bit of them. Just to avoid them looks too exaggerated. For the tag, I'm going to remove some reflections. So maybe like that. I'm going to add for the rope. I'm going to copy this and move it to a folder. I'm going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to copy mask of this one, add a black mask and paste mask here. Okay, now I'm going to add a black mask in this duplicated layer and add fill. And here I can type line and use one of those, maybe this one, the gradient linear one. Increase the tiling, maybe type here 5 or 7. Change the color to something different just to see. Okay. Okay. Now you can increase or decrease the balance and change the rotation to 45 or maybe 25. Just something like that. Let me check if I can find a decent amount to avoid the cut there in the seam. Yeah, that works good. Pretty good. I like it. I'm going to here add a paint layer, and I'm going to select polygon fill and press X to invert this to black. And yeah, let me think. Maybe we need to move this here. There we go. Okay, that's much better. So maybe we can keep the color so we can paint it like that. Okay, now change this color to something like, looks like a rope. I like this one. I'm going to decrease the opacity maybe. Maybe decrease some color. Okay, good. Now I'm going to add here some height. Okay. Maybe try to here some filter. We can add the blur. Okay, now we can decrease the gradient linear. Just avoid it to be too exaggerated. Okay, fine. I think I'm not going to be using the paint in here, so I'm going to leave it white. Or maybe we can paint some, like a point in there. Yeah, I like it, but maybe not too much. Yeah, like that is good. Okay, I like the rope. Maybe we can change the base to make it look a little bit different. Yeah. I like it. Looks good for me. The cork maybe can be now a little bit orangey. Maybe not that. Yeah, it can work. It looks like cheese. Okay. That looks much better for me. Okay. I'm going to add here over the glass opacity a fill layer. I'm going to disable opacity. I'm going to keep only color. Put it in black. This will be called gradient. Right click, add black mask, and add generator. And here select position. And I'm going to invert this. I'm going to click with Alt on this mask so I can see where the position is. Okay, we can keep a color, a gradient here in the middle. Go back to the material view. And we can play now with the roughness in here. As you can see. Same for the metallic. Okay. Okay, let me check how it looks like. You can even try with a different color variation for the bottom. You can try with different blending modes. Okay, great. I think I'm going to add some extra details here over the glass. I'm going to select a white color and right click black mask generator and here select curvature. I'm going to decrease this value and play with these values too. Medium, high, fine. Okay. We can add maybe a filter called blur slope. A little bit of intensity, and here is blur. Okay, we can play maybe with the roughness. Okay, great. This will add some slight visible variations to the bottle. Not too much, but this can work. I think I'm going to be using overlay and change this color. Over the blur slope, we can add a paint layer and decrease the stroke opacity, and we can paint over those very visible lines so we can hide them, as you can see, only where they are visible. Perfect. Okay. This will be main edges. I'm going to copy this. And this will be, I don't know, global or something like that. I'm going to add a black mask, and here go to fill, and here I'm going to select curvature from the bottle, this one, and add levels. I'm going to select a very visible color first for this, and here I'm going to play with the levels. I mainly want this top part, so I'm going to be using something white. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm not going to be using opacity for this top part, so I'm going to keep it like that. So I'm going to put this in a folder and call it just global. And now here add a white mask. Sorry, add a black mask, and I can paint only those top part. Yeah, this top part will only be affected by this just global. Okay, great. I'm going back to the other material. I'm going to tweak this division layer just to change the color. Yeah, I'm aiming something like this. As you can see, this division layer is quite simple. You simply add a white layer with only color and select here divide, and that's all. You play with this. As you can see, you can change the color and everything else. Okay, as you can see, without this layer it looks like this. I mean, if we enable this, it looks much better. Okay, great. I think I'm going to add to the liquid some gradient. I'm going to put this in a folder and copy these layers in this folder and select only the liquid. I'm going to select only the color of the liquid. And here inside the folder, I'm going to add a, I don't know, maybe meanwhile this color, add a black mask and generator, and here position. Okay, now global invert. Okay, let me check what's happening here. Maybe just, I think I added the color of the glass. Select this color. Oh, there we go. Now it works. Okay, I'm going to select also the bubbles. Okay, and here in the position, I'm going to play with it. Okay, there we go. And now I can play with this color to give some variation of to the bottom of this part of this potion. You can play with that yellow color, make it look like that. Okay, I think I'll be using something purple. Yeah, I think I'll be using 1 and 2. This will be liquid gradient. You can play with blending modes. I usually don't know exactly which color I want. I usually don't know which blending mode I want, so I test with all of them. Yeah, I think I leave it like this, but maybe I'm going to decrease some of, increase some contrast. Okay, like that, and change the liquid color here to something red. Maybe for the bottle, you can add some roughness variation. So I'm going to put them here on top, maybe behind gradient. Add a layer. I'm going to add a black mask fill. I'm going to find for some grunge. Maybe something like this. I'm going to use triplanar projection. Yeah. Maybe select only roughness, and here you can play with the roughness. Maybe add color too. And metal. Usually for stylized models, I add here a filter called blur slope, so you can add some stylization to the texture and make it look more stylized. Okay, maybe we can try with another texture. Yeah, I like this one. Maybe first select a color. Let me check. Maybe just something like that. For the metal, I'm going to change the metal level to roughness. I want to avoid this because this doesn't look too stylized. So I'm going to try to keep a similar level to make it look more flat. Of course, avoid hate. Don't do this. This is just for maybe realistic models. Avoid this kind of stylist. Avoid this kind of detailing. But of course, it depends of your project. So I want to increase the blur slope. And maybe here increase the size of the texture. Or maybe decrease it to 0.5. Yeah, 0.5 looks good for me. I'm going to decrease the opacity of this texture to something not too visible. Okay, good. Okay, well, I like it. I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to change the color of the cork a little bit again, just to make it look a little bit darker and orange, like that. Same for the rope. I think I'm going to add another tag color, something like this, and I'm going to paint everything here with mesh fill, and I'm going to start painting over it with this new color. Okay, I think I'm going to do the same with for the cork. Let me check if I have here a heart. We can use this heart. Maybe. I'm going to add it on top. Change the blending mode. Okay, cool. I like it like this. I'm going to call it heart. And I'm going to add a black mask and paint it only here in the on front to avoid it being paint behind the tag. Okay, cool. I'm going to pack now everything into a single folder. This will be main material. And over it, I can add new filters and play with this. For example, change a little bit the colors. Increase a little bit the saturation. Okay. Add another filter. We can use contrast. Increase or decrease the contrast. Very good. Now another filter. We can use color correct. Okay. Now another filter. We can use color balance. And here in shadows, we can change the color balance. Okay, great. Now I'm going to add a filter and use sharpen. You can increase the sharpen or decrease it. As you can see, this is not too much, but usually it's useful. Okay. I'm going to copy those layers and go to the bottle, select everything, and let me try to paste those layers over the bottle. Okay. Yeah, it looks much better for me. It looks a little bit blue. You can change that blue color here. Okay, great. Let me try to increase the sharpen. Okay, great. Looks very good for me. I like this bottle model I made. So I'm going to export this to Blender. For this, I'm going to go to File, Export Textures. And here I have my Blender PBR export. This is quite simple. You can make it following these colors, the base color in here, the opacity here in the alpha, this normal OpenGL or DirectX if you are aiming for Unreal Engine. For Blender, we need to use OpenGL in here, roughness here and roughness, etc. So this is the template I have to export to Blender. Okay, I'm going to be using a PNG in 16 bits and 4K resolution for this bottle. And for the glass, I'm going to uncheck the base color. This base color, I'm going to be using the alpha because these have an alpha channel for transparency. And I'm going to remove hade and emissive. I'll keep those. And for the potion, I'm going to disable emissive and hade and remove this base color alpha, because we are not going to be using alpha for the rest of the object instead of the only the bottle, sorry. Okay, now select your folder. Okay, great. I'm going to do something extra just to test. I'm going to select not the bottle, the other part. I'm going to add here an emissive channel. I'm going to increase the emissive intensity, and here I'm going to activate post-processing and enable the glare with bloom. And I'm going to add to the liquid only here, liquid emissive, just to test. Let me check how it looks like. Looks terrible. Okay, but I just want to do this to test in Blender, so I can maybe have some emissions in there. Okay, I'm going to export only the emissive channels here, only emissive, and keep it, export. Okay, great. I'm going to disable all of these I made until the emissive channel is removed. Okay, good. And back to Blender, I'm going to re-import everything here. I'm going to select all of these low poly objects and duplicate, and I'm going to move them to another collection called Stylized Potion. There we go. And here I'm going to select first the bottle, go to shading, remove this texture, and pressing Ctrl-Shift-T if you have node granule add-on activated. Go to Edit Preferences, Addons, and type here node granule. You need to have this activated to do this. Ctrl-Shift-T, and select the bottle textures. Oops, it's called glass. Select only those textures. As you can see, we have alpha in this channel, and apply. Okay, we have the textures of the glass. We cannot see the interior because we need to enable the alpha. Here, connect alpha with alpha, and we have the interior. Okay, now the other part, remove this and do the same, but with the rest. It's called potion, just potion. They are those. Okay. Great. Let's import. You can play with these. You can add ray tracing to the glass and change the blending mode to blend instead of dither, but I prefer to work usually with dither mode. As you can see, we have the bottle. Okay. Okay, looks good. Maybe in Unreal Engine you will render this glass better. Of course, you can render the glass better here in Blender, but you need to tweak some extra setting, for example, IOR, and play with anything else. But this is a game asset, and this should be imported in a game engine, so you need to make all of the modifications in the game engine. But it looks good for me. I'm going to select the liquid, the interior part, this part, and I'm going to go back to shading, and I'm going to enable emission, maybe just to look how it looks like. I'm going to go to compositing, use nodes, and here glare and bloom, just to see how it looks like. Okay, you can see we can increase the. It looks good like this, but of course with the glass, we don't have that. Okay, but it's fine. It is better if you export the emissive map, so there you can play with this texture in the engine. As you can see, we have emissive information, so maybe in Unreal Engine we can make this bloom outside the glass, as you can see, to something like this. It looks very good, but with the glass here in Blender looks bad. Okay, so better to have this texture instead of not. Okay, and this is the final result. I really hope this video was useful for you. I really hope you learn a lot with this. Let me know in the comments if you have more questions about the creation process of this potion. I am really sorry for my English. This is not my first language, but I'm learning every day making these videos. And give a like, subscribe if you want to see more tutorials, and see you next time. Thanks for watching.